Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just hit that notification button to be notified about our next show. You're live with Get Connected. Mike Agarbo here with fellow nerds John Beeler and AJ Vickery. We got a pretty interesting show. Later on, we'll be talking about Father's Day gifts. Well, obviously tech-related. We're starting now because, for the most part, you're probably ordering them online, and now would be the time. So we've got some great gift suggestions for your favorite dad. We'll also be talking about another COVID pandemic that happened 5 years ago and killed over 1 million, and how they dealt with that using technology. It is a fascinating interview with our friend Brian Jackson from Toronto. Right now, though, this is the time where we talk about some of the tech news out there. And John, you have an update for us on the Fonus SIM. This is a SIM card that promised really cheap monthly rates and would work anywhere in the world with no roaming charges, which we all thought was very exciting. I think they started promoting this thing back in October. And John, you just got your SIM card.
I did indeed get my actual SIM card, and I'm not quite sure what to make of it because
you haven't even tried it yet, have you?
Well, I don't want to activate it because I don't really need it. And as of this moment, you can't even port your own number to it yet. Apparently that feature is coming. Yeah. That might be more compelling when that feature does arrive for me to activate it, and then I can use that instead of my more expensive TELUS plan. It kind of came unceremoniously in a very simple package from Hong Kong. It's funny though, because AJ, you ordered one, and Stephen Fung, one of our producers, ordered one. I'm the only one that has gotten it so far. And apparently they're all being shipped out of Mississauga now. So the SIMs are arriving, it seems, but in very sporadic quantities.
Didn't you have a warning on yours?
Yeah. It basically says, let me read it. Our wireless data services are intended to be used for the following permitted activities: web browsing, email, intranet access if permitted by your plan, uploading and downloading applications and content to and from the internet or third-party application stores, using applications and content without excessively contributing to network congestion. You agree to use wireless data services only for these permitted activities. That doesn't seem like unlimited, do what you want with data.
That was one of the promises of this SIM card, wasn't it? Yeah.
Although I don't really know what's left outside of that. I'd have to
streaming. I think streaming.
Like, think about that a little more.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, when we actually had the Fonus guys in the studio, I can't remember when that was, late last year, I think. One of the things that they talked about was the fact that people were sort of testing the limits of it by downloading like terabytes of content. So, well, we'll see. I might activate it just for fun and see what I can get away with.
Well, we'll have to get an update from you, John. I'm so fascinated by this whole thing, and if this will be around by the end of the year, if that long. AJ, you may never get yours.
Yeah, well, I never expected to get it. I fully was aware of that when I put my $25 into the pile. So, no love lost, but it is interesting that John got his, and I guess he was just a little nicer in our interviews.
Apparently so. Let's move on to another thing that we've been following, and this was a device from Miyashita Laboratory that I guess is a taste synthesizer. So this is a device using electrical simulation that you could put on your tongue, and it can simulate like hot chocolate, pepperoni pizza, just by mixing the different types of taste buds that we have on our tongues. Is this something you'd want to stick in your mouth, AJ?
Well, it's actually okay. So there's a lot going on there. Essentially they're claiming that essentially with these like 5 gel, I think it was 5 gels, correct me if I'm wrong there, they can literally through sort of sending electricity into those, they can sort of create all these different flavors, all the different flavors of anything. You know, it kind of reminds me of Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory and that bubble gum that you chew that it goes from, you know,
Oh yeah,
roast dinner to finishes off with blueberry pie, right? But you know, it's interesting because you know, if you remember in the 1990s, there was that technology. Mike, we got this. I remember us looking at it. I don't know if you remember, but it was a little device that came with smell cartridges.
I smell.
And yeah, and it would literally poof out little smells, you know, related to whatever application you were in, sort of create that sort of like next level sensation with the experience that you're having. So, you know, take this all into VR. You know, sit down at a beautiful dinner, order a steak, buy, you know, wonderful like, you know, Bordeaux wine, and all of a sudden you're all that's just gels shooting off in your mouth.
It kind of looks like you're licking a battery, though. This looks like a flashlight that you stick in your mouth and you lick, and then you get electrocuted, and it makes you feel a certain sensation.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting. I'm fascinated to see this. I remember the iSmell device. I mean, it was kind of okay. I mean, it was.
What applications could you use it with? Like, what does Excel smell like?
Sadness.
So cardboardy kind of
old files.
Yeah, and cigarettes. We have a great show for you today. Coming up, we're going to be talking about a pandemic that happened 5 years ago that killed over 1 million. That I don't think a lot of people know about, and the lessons learned from that from a technology standpoint. We'll also be talking later on about Techie Father's Day gifts. If you still need to think about a tech gift for your father, now's the time, because you'll probably have to order it, and you'll need a little bit of leeway as far as getting that delivered in time for Father's Day. You're listening to Get Connected here on the Chorus Radio Network. We'll be back right after this. We're going to talk about the coronavirus that actually swept a large population back about 5 years ago, killing over 1 million. Humans, no, but it was pigs. On the line, we've got our pig expert, Brian Jackson. He is the research director in the CIO practice at Infotech Research Group, the world's fastest growing information technology research and advisory firm. Thanks for joining us, Brian.
Glad to be here, Mike, and I'm always glad when my esoteric pig knowledge can come up useful. So here we are.
I found this really interesting, Brian. So this I didn't even know this happened 5 years ago. A coronavirus, and you know, there's obviously been multiple coronaviruses before COVID-19. Actually killed. I think 1 million U.S. pigs. And so farmers started getting serious about biosecurity measures, using different types of technology to help avoid such a tragedy in the future. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, exactly. There have been multiple coronaviruses that have affected different populations before COVID-19. Like a lot of your listeners will remember SARS, right? We called it SARS back in, what was it, 2002, right? And that was a coronavirus. So this is why we call it the novel coronavirus. Maybe you've seen that sort of terminology around. And most coronaviruses, of course, don't affect people. They affect animals, right? And you get the odd one that is transmissible from an animal to humans, and that's when you really get into trouble. And that's the situation we're in now. And of course, this situation where we're talking about a coronavirus that affected the pig population, and you're right, it killed 1 million pigs about 6 years ago. And it hit the US the hardest. And you might not have heard about this because it didn't actually affect the consumer supply in terms of a health threat. So it did result in fewer pigs being sent into the food supply line. So there was less pork going around that year, but not so much that there was big shortages, right? It actually drove up the prices quite a bit. But what's important about this for the context of our discussion here is because pig farmers realized that they were so vulnerable to these coronaviruses and other types of biosecurity threats, they decided that they had to organize a better system, a process using technology that would prevent them from having this sort of problem again. And they've implemented them into many of their facilities. And I think we could learn a lot about what they're doing and how they're managing certain highly vulnerable areas where they don't want virus infections.
So what kind of technology are the pig farmers using?
Yeah, so there's this company out of Omaha. And this company, it was founded by a guy that started as a general contractor where he went around and he built food production facilities. So you and I might think about them as barns, right? But in the farming industry, these are high grade commercial farming complexes. And there's a lot of specific construction elements that you have to consider here. And his name was Anthony Novero. Now, Anthony, when he was building these facilities, his clients kept asking him about biosecurity measures. How can we prevent our pigs from getting sick? Because we don't want to lose our livestock to disease. And of course, that costs us money. It makes the pig sick. Everybody's unhappy with this. So he realized that there was an opportunity to address this with a real solution, because basically at that time, as Anthony puts it, the pork industry or the farming industry, they were using like pencil and paper to log the people that were coming in and out of their facilities. And as we've learned with COVID-19, the way that a virus spreads is really through people, right? They become the hosts or they become the carriers. And in this case, what was happening is that people going to different pig farming facilities would have some sort of dirt on or some sort of feces on their clothing, and it doesn't take much, right? You just have to be a little bit dirty. A few molecules of that virus being carried on your pant leg or something could infect a whole other herd. And that's the end of the story, right? Once it gets in there. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that the right people are getting into your facilities that are authorized to be there, and that they haven't been into any other areas where there's a big risk that they're actually carrying some sort of virus and that it's going to spread between different pig herds. So Anthony, he created this solution that he calls Protocol, and it's basically like a fancy camera. It's called Protocol because there's a time of flight camera on it, and it does a facial recognition scan of you. It's connected to a commercial grade lock on a door, and once it recognizes that you're allowed to be in there, it will unlock the door and let you, and only you, into that facility.
And have many pig farmers started using this technology? I mean, it's only going to work if you get a wide adoption, really.
Yeah, it's actually like one of the standard things, and there's new compliance requirements throughout the world that really beef up the requirements for biosecurity around the farming process, right? And it's not just that they all have to use Novatech, right? Although it is a popular solution definitely throughout the US, but there's a lot of different technology solutions that are designed to prevent the spread of biosecurity threats as they're known now. And this is everything from invasive insects to viruses to bacteria. So they've got it down to a fine science. And what they've realized, Mike, is that there's certain areas where you just don't want to let people into. So I learned a lot of different ways that they think about the value of the food production process in pig farming or in livestock farming in general. So for example, there's the pigs that are going into the food supply chain, and they're sort of thinking about that as the food stock, right? And even more valuable to pig farmers than the food stock, the pigs that are going to be to the slaughterhouse, is what they call the genetic material. Now, Anthony said that to me, and I was like, what do you mean genetic material? Well, it's the pigs they use to breed the pigs that go into the slaughterhouses, right? So it's this interesting division of livestock, right, based on what's more valuable. And of course, the genetic material is more valuable because you use that to produce all of the food supply. And there's a lot of reasons why you want certain pigs breeding to produce your food supply, right? So the lesson learned from that is that we could think about areas that in other industries that we don't want people to go into and pose a certain risk, right? And based on the area and the risk that is acceptable in that area, we can be more or less discriminatory about who goes in there, right? Now, obviously, when you go to the grocery store, this isn't going to be the solution that works, right? Not everybody is going to have their facial ID scanned at the grocery store to get in. There can't be like a huge centralized database of everybody in the world that's allowed to go anywhere. We're thinking about more specific scenarios, like say long-term care homes, right? Where this virus has been quite devastating, and we've seen the effects of that. So if you know that there's certain personnel that are allowed to go into long-term care homes to deliver their care, to deliver their services, then why not have those people authorized on a system like this, and they can have their face scanned. They can log in just using their own face to get access, and nobody else can go in there, right? And you can have certain areas within a long-term care facility where there's perhaps people that you know are ill, right? And you could separate those. You could have those people in an area being serviced by certain caregivers, and then other people in a different area that are not sick, that are just in good health, and they have a different set of caregivers that are attending to them. And you could prevent cross-contamination between those groups, which would go a long way to preventing illness from spreading in this scenario like that.
Well, I think if we look at the COVID-19 pandemic and where in Canada here, anyway, most of the deaths occurred, the vast majority would be in the elderly population and in long care term homes. And so definitely I could see this type of technology helping there. But do you think there's the will and the money to make that happen?
Well, after this, you might think that there would be, right? I mean, we have a situation in Canada right now where and in Ontario and in Quebec, this is happening. I'm not sure in other provinces, but over here, we have the military that are in long-term care homes, and they just requested that they could maintain a presence in Quebec until September. We saw that an extension of a few weeks for the military presence in long-term care homes here in Ontario. So there's sort of huge alarm bells going off, and a sense that the need to pay attention to this space has never been more dire. Now, Anthony Navarro, this guy in Omaha with his protocol, he's already getting calls from people that work in these sort of facilities or that manage these sort of facilities, and they're talking to him about how they can adapt protocol, which is intended for farmers, into other industries like hospitals, long-term care homes, and places where you would think there's a high risk of cross-contamination, where people might have a disease in one room. You don't want that to spread to a different room.
But I can see in long-term care homes implementing something like this if there was the will and their money. And I got to be honest, I'm skeptical that they would make that kind of financial commitment. And I know that it's all very fresh right now, and I think they should, but it would cost a tremendous amount of money to introduce that, across the country. But in hospitals, that would be just astronomical as far as cost and, how they would implement that. When you think about how big hospitals are and how many people are, fundamentally going through there on a daily basis, even during a pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, we always think about the costs that are associated with technologies and new solutions, right? But you also have to think about what's the cost of not doing it. Well, the cost in long-term.
I think we found that out.
Yeah, and exactly, right? I mean, we're looking at all these deaths in long-term care homes because the standards were so poor, and we were allowing a situation where once a virus was in there was no real way to monitor it, to track it, to make sure it didn't spread throughout the population. So I think the will to explore these options will be there. And in some scenarios, it may not even be that the operating cost is that high, because there are scenarios in hospitals today where you have certain areas where only staff are allowed, right? You might have pass card systems that are typical to be used, or you might have systems where people are checking in with a front desk. Like, have you ever gone to a hospital and you're visiting somebody on that floor? You have to go and sign in with the attendee that's checking. They have a pen and paper system, right? And you write your name down and the time that you're logging in. Well, that's the system that pig farmers realized was no good 6 years ago, right? And now the rest of these industries are catching up to what they've learned.
So the pig farmers are smarter than the government and humans, is what you're saying here.
Yeah. It's not a high bar.
God, there's so many questions here. I think there's no question that governments and just as citizens, we have to look at this technology, because if we had even like a fraction of this tech in long care term homes and hospitals, we might not be in this situation right now. So even though it might cost hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars, and I could see it getting there, it could save maybe trillions of dollars. Like, look what's happened with this pandemic right now. Everyone's been shut out of work for months. Like, it's devastating the world economy. And so I think the challenge, though, Brian, is that, as humans, we're all very reactionary. We don't really step up to do something before something bad has happened to us.
Yeah, it's so true. I think that's exactly the scenario that got us into this situation, and we need to now react, right? And just before this pandemic, it was interesting that in the world of academia, people were talking about the need for better biosecurity measures. Not just with locks and doors and facial recognition scans to identify authorized people, but at government level, at many different industry levels, people were sort of becoming aware that biosecurity was a real weak point globally. And there were a number of research papers the number of research papers being published in years leading up to now has been increasing year over year. We saw that. And so people have sort of been turning their heads towards this problem. And now, because of this crisis, I think it's brought everybody's full attention to it.
It's tough, though, and again, this happened 5 years ago with the pigs that particular COVID virus wiped out 1 million of them. How do you go to the government and say, hey, 1 million pigs just died. We gotta make some changes to how we deal with, the human population. What politician's going to stick his neck out and make something like that happen? So it's just tough. I question that. It also brings up just the question, though, guys, of how farming is done nowadays. As more corporations get into the farming business, if not have already taken it over, and you've basically got like just huge masses of livestock together, whereas in the old days, you wouldn't have like 10,000 pigs altogether, right? You'd have farms that maybe you'd have 5 or 10 pigs. So it would be much more difficult for any type of virus to spread. So is that an issue going forward as well, Brian?
Yeah, for the pig farming industry. Well, I think that question of, hey, how do we solve these problems because we want to have a commercial farming facility, right? So the goal of this company is to feed a huge number of people, right? It wants to scale up its operations. And let's put it like, for this conversation, right? Let's put aside all the questions of like, hey, why do we have so many pigs together? Is that a good idea or not? Let's just look at it from the perspective of, here are companies that are doing that. As a result of that density of population, they had these problems around biosecurity, and we can learn those lessons for the situations that humans find themselves in today, with a similar situation where our urban density is leading to illnesses spreading very quickly and causing great devastation to our society.
Brian, I want to thank you for joining us today in this conversation.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I enjoyed it a lot.
Brian Jackson, the research director and in the CIO practice over at the Infotech Research Group, the world's fastest growing information technology research and advisory firm. I think you wrote that, Brian. You must have.
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
or at least I sent it to you. I think our PR team wrote it. Yeah.
When we come back from the break, more tech to talk. You are back with Get Connected. Mike Agarbo here with John and AJ. It's Father's Day coming up, and I'm excited. I'm just thinking about all the great gifts I'm going to get that I'm going to probably buy for myself. How about you, AJ?
Yeah, well, I'm a fairly new father, so I'm still enjoying it. I'm still getting a lot of attention on Father's Day, and there's definitely I've made a few hints.
Did you? What do you want?
Well, everything's going electric, right? I mean, we've got the electric cars, we've got those little electric commuter scooters. John, I know you have one of those. I think it's finally time I get an electric golf cart.
Where are you going to use that?
On the golf course. It's a golf caddy. So basically, instead of I know this is horrible because like golf, like is it a sport or is it a game? Like I get it, but if you're out there, you might as well get some exercise and push your own golf cart or carry your own golf bag. But this is so cool. You can literally
you're not talking golf cart, but a golf bag.
No, I'm talking about a little tiny pulley that you put your golf bag on. You don't sit in it. No.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry. Oh no, you think I'm going to drive to work in a golf cart?
Driving that around town.
It's like Caddyshack. No. Sorry, I'm talking about like a little golf caddy.
Okay.
It's a small little device. Essentially probably using a lot of the same electric technology as being used in these scooters or hoverboards and whatnot. And these things have they have all sorts of technology built into them. You can have them follow you around, for example. So and we've seen luggage do that as well. They course correct. So as you're walking down up to your ball to take your next shot, you just turn around behind you, and your golf bag is right there following you.
So like that annoying employee at work?
Yeah, sure. Something like that.
Stop following me, Bob.
For all the golfers listening right now, they're just getting excited, right? Because you can buy these things now for, anywhere from like $600 up to $1,200. In the most simplest way.
Your 6-year-old daughter will be able to afford that.
Yeah, she's going to have to do a lot of chores, around the house.
Okay, so this is a golf bag that'll follow you around.
Yes.
Okay. Let's look at some of the other tech gift ideas. I actually had a chance to talk to Global News this week about some of the things that we were looking at. A really good, inexpensive one was a screwdriver set, like a precision screwdriver set. I've got one off of Amazon. It has 68 different little tiny screwdriver heads. This is fantastic for getting into like little small electronics, cell phones, hard drives, even computers and laptops. I got one off Amazon last year. I think it's like $24. Best thing I ever bought.
It's funny because when you told me you had got that one, I looked at it and like I actually had purchased the exact same one.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so useful because it comes with a bunch of different things. I think it's really meant for like cell phone repair and that kind of thing, because it has like a little suction cup for pulling the screen off and some other pry tools to pop open the battery off the back, that kind of thing. But it's got all the little bits for all the little small electronics that need really tiny little screws and all kinds of different other little gadgets that comes in the kit as well, beyond just a screwdriver set. And for $25 you can't, or $24 you can't beat that.
Oh, it's fantastic because, before I had it, I was always, when I had to open up like a battery cover, even for that matter, and like these little electronic devices and remotes that had a screw on it, I was always looking for a screwdriver, going through my drawers. And I think I just had like one, but this one here, like 68 different attachments on it, is fantastic. Again, it's available on Amazon. We've got a link up on our website, gcpix.com. Is it up there, John?
It is, yes.
Okay. Another great gift idea. We've talked a lot about this over the past few months. A mesh router. So this is a router that would replace the one that you got from your internet service provider, or maybe your old one that's 5 to 10 years old, and there are a lot out there that old. Mesh is the way to go because it actually comes typically in packs. So you get one little router that attaches right to your cable or DSL modem that you got from your ISP. And the other one you place strategically through the home to extend the network. The nice thing is that this just creates one network throughout the house, and it basically kills the Wi-Fi dead spot. So I had a look at the Linksys VLOP series. They've got all sorts of different packs, 2 packs, 3 packs. The base 2-pack model that would cover about a 3,000 square foot home starts at $199, which is a hell of a deal. And you can get on Amazon. John, any other ideas you had?
Well, we always talk about the benefits of an Apple Watch, especially for dads. And, I've got a Series 5. I think you've got a Series 4. Maybe your daughter can buy you a new Apple Watch.
Does she love me that much? I don't know.
I guess you'll find out on Father's Day.
I think it's up there in the golf electronic caddy category as far as pricing. But yeah, I'd love a Series 5. But yeah, John, you're right. These things are awesome. If your dad is in the iPhone camp and he hasn't got one of these yet, they're fantastic. From working out to notifications. Some of them even have cell chips in them. So you could use it as your cellular phone, like Dick Tracy, without having to carry your smartphone around, which is kind of cool.
But, not to mention all the health benefits of being able to monitor your heart rate and blood pressure and a bunch of other things like that it'll actually give you notifications for. And we've talked about on the show many times about how beneficial that can be for the older gentlemen in the audience, not unlike ourselves.
The seasoned veterans. And, another great gift idea is, if he already has an Apple Watch, or of course he's got a smartphone, is the accessories that are available for these things. Apple Watches, there are like thousands of different cool straps you can get for them up on Amazon. So you can check that out. That's kind of the fun thing about the Apple Watch, is just how you can kind of customize them with a new strap.
And it's pretty easy to change those too. You just press a button and the strap comes off. It's very simple. So they actually kind of sell them as fashion accessories, like you would change your socks. You can change your Apple wrist strap.
Yeah, I mean, and these things start at like $10, and same with smartphone cases. And who doesn't need another charging cord? I think I could always use another lightning cord because somehow they're always going missing in my house. So those are in the $10 to $15 range as well, and get them a long one. Those are much appreciated. Instead of the short little 3-foot ones, get them a 6-foot one.
You can get one of those braided ones too that are really durable.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So that you can steal that from your dad, a week after Father's Day.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay. We're going to have to take a break. If you want to see some more Father's Day gift ideas, go to gcpicks.com. That's GCPicks, PICKS.com. We've got a few gift ideas up there. And if you ever hear us talking about gadgets, whether it's on a radio program or if I'm up on Global News talking about some tech, we're going to put it up on our gcpicks.com website. When we come back from the break, we're going to reach into our old tickle trunk, talking about some of the old tech that we still have lying around. You're listening to Get Connected here on the Corus Radio Network. Back after this. You're back with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here with John and AJ. We've got a little bit of time left. We're going to go back to retro tech. And John, you were digging through your garage. What did you come up with?
I have the first $100 computer, the Timex Sinclair 1000. This was a really fun little thing that came out in 1982. It uses a membrane keyboard, and you plug it into your TV, and it was just black and white only. And it kind of has like an auto-suggest feature. As you start typing, it will auto-suggest words that work in BASIC. So you press the P for print, and it would just auto-write out print because you didn't have to type the whole thing. And it was pretty fun. They even sold memory expansions. This was 64 kilobytes of expansion. And it's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. Still works too.
Do you hook it up?
Yeah. It's pretty neat.
$100 back then. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, I was actually reading online when they came out. It was right around the time when the Commodore computers were starting to come out, and the VIC-20 was a little bit more expensive. And what they did is they actually reduced the price of the VIC-20 to price match the Timex. But then a little later on, the Timex had sort of passed its prime, and they were selling for about $49. And Commodore had a trade-in deal where you could trade in any competing product for $100 off a Commodore 64. So I think the Timex Sinclair actually spurred a lot of Commodore 64 purchases because you got $100 off for spending $50.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. AJ, you said you had an old tech item that you have lying around the house.
Yeah, I mean, I was sort of thinking about what's the oldest piece of tech that's in my house, and my first thought was probably the router, but no, I've recently upgraded to mesh. And but no, actually, I still use a Tivoli radio. You remember those? Tivoli?
Oh yeah, those are awesome.
Are they the wind-up ones?
No. They were these little radios that came out, and they were sort of maybe it was around the time that Sonos was sort of big, but they were literally like these beautifully designed, wonderfully sounding. Like a lot of money went into the speaker themselves, and they looked like just a nice piece of equipment. So I've always kept it, and we use it quite often, even with all the smart speakers around the house.
Just to listen to CKNW.
Yeah.
Well, I think Tivoli Audio is still around, aren't they?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I just went up on the website. They seem to be kicking around. So maybe that's a collector's item, AJ?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to have to let you go. That's all the time we have left. Don't forget to hit our website, getconnectedmedia.com, giving away a Belkin accessory pack. To enter to win, subscribe to our newsletter. That's all you have to do. It's so simple. And once you're entered in for all the contests going forward. So super important. And if you're watching on the interwebs, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel. And hit that notification button to be notified when we post next. And this is great because we're constantly adding great new tech videos up on our YouTube channel, the Get Connected Media channel. And we'd love to keep making more. So subscribe to that channel. I want to thank everyone that helps put the show together. John, AJ, and the rest of the team. We'll see you again next time.